facing a judge. New tonight on Our News Live at 7. A 28-year-old man behind bars tonight after prosecutors say they uncovered child pornography on his cell phone. More from today's court hearing. Also on Exuma, the 23 inches of rain that led to massive flooding. Residents left grappling post a severe weather system. Plus, the microchip technology that's expected to help authorities clamp down on dog attacks. And then in Our News at 7:30, residents react after a woman was shot while breastfeeding. We'll tell you how the incident unfolded. Our News Live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to Our News Live at 7. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kendino Knowles. A 28-year-old man is behind bars tonight after authorities say he was allegedly found with child pornography. Prosecutors say Terrell Clark had videos of men having sex with boys in his Telegram group, and they allege they found more images of child pornography in his photo gallery and hidden folder. The Nassau Street resident didn't have to plead to charges of possession of child porn when he appeared before Assistant Chief Magistrate Supersola Swain. He was denied bail and he's expected back in court on August 30th. We've got more on the case available now at ournews.bs. And a 20-year-old man is behind bars facing murder and attempted murder charges in connection with separate shootings. Prosecutors say Kachino Thompson attempted to murder Delarice Ramming, Gurnico Ramming, and Roger Nelson on January 10th. The charges stem from a shooting at the junction of Wilkinson and Augusta Streets. Thompson is also accused of the shooting murder of Brian Smith at Hospital Lane on May 26th. He wasn't required to enter a plea to the charges when he appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt. Bail was denied. Thompson, he's expected back in court on August 1st for an indictment. And now to police officers who shot a mother in the chest as she breastfed her baby. The incident happening around noon on Sunday at a home in Park Court Street in Sunshine Park. The officers who were at the property to execute a search warrant reportedly mistakenly shot the unarmed woman while trying to shoot a pit bull that allegedly charged at them. Police say a 27-year-old woman who frequents the property was shot to the upper body when the ammunition ricocheted off the pit bull. The woman was taken to hospital by EMS personnel, where she remains in serious but stable condition. Investigations are said to be ongoing. Coming up in Our News at 7:30, Joshua Williams, he speaks to one of the victim's relatives as well as residents who share their side of the story. It's a story you don't want to miss. And with dog attacks grabbing headlines over the last year, special focus will be placed on the Animal Control Unit. Agriculture, Family Island Affairs, and Local Government Minister Clay Sweeting says the persistent stray dog issue remains a major concern.
A particularly disturbing situation is the number of dogs which attack humans. We have made an amendment to the Animal Control Act, Madam Speaker, to allow for the microchipping of dogs. While this isn't mandatory, it is revolutionary.
Yes, it is.
Because in the sense that once dogs are microchipped, they can be scanned.
Yes.
And once scanned, this provides information such as the owner of the animal, the animal's medical history, as well as whether the animal has been spayed or neutered.
Last February, Alicia Barton was coming home from work when she was nearly mauled to death by a neighbor's dogs. In August 2022, Anthony Swan was killed through Palm Tree Avenue and East Street after being attacked by dogs. Sweeting says microchipping will be an added defense in animal attacks by identifying the owners of the animals involved in the crimes.
In order to incentivize the service, once implemented, there will be no charge instead of the regular dog license fee.
Well, nearly 2 feet of rainwater has been dumped on the island of Exuma since Wednesday. That's according to figures compiled by the Department of Meteorology. State Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Miles LaRota, who has responsibility for disaster management, giving a breakdown of the wild weather that has battered the island in recent days. While speaking in Parliament, LaRota said Exuma was not the only island impacted.
Rainfall in amounts of 8.92 inches were recorded in Exuma on Wednesday, the 7th of June, with an additional 2.73 inches recorded on Thursday, June 8th. It is estimated that an additional 12 inches of rainfall occurred in Exuma over the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday period. Long Island recorded 1.10 inches of rainfall on Wednesday the 7th, 4.90 inches on Thursday, and an additional estimated 6 inches on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And LaRota says the extensive flooding prompting disaster management officials to activate its emergency plan.
5 shelters were activated at 9 a.m. on Sunday. They are listed as follows: the Resource Center at Hoopers Bay, Rokers Point Primary School, St. Teresa's Catholic Church in Georgetown, Calvary Mission Baptist Church, Rollville, and St. Mary Magdalene Anglican Church, Williamstown. 11 persons in total were accommodated at the shelters.
All right, and still on Exuma, 2 residents there telling the tale of torrential rainfall over the weekend that made one of them have to swim to safety. This as the Prime Minister led a delegation to the island to assess the damage. Bethany McDermott was there.
What was it like for you, I guess, when the rain came down and you started to see that the water was coming up and up?
Fair.
Kavika Kelly Griffin was one of hundreds of Exuma residents faced with heavy rainfall and severe flooding over the last 5 days. Prime Minister Philip Davis led a delegation where they got a first-hand look at the impact of the wild weather. He says it's a clear sign of the devastating impact of climate change.
The flooding that you'd have witnessed, the traumatic experience that many of the residents would have gone through during the course of all that torrential rainfall, it speaks volumes to the fact that action is required now.
Exuma wasn't the only island impacted. Cat Island also experienced heavy rainfall over the weekend. The Prime Minister says a vulnerability study was recently done for each island, adding the shortfalls are being addressed. But he says it comes at a cost.
The cost of addressing for adaptation is enormous, and we cannot do it alone.
Now, this is just one of the homes here in Rollville that was impacted by the flooding. One resident telling us she had to grab her belongings and swim to safety.
It was when we saw that, we panicked. We didn't know what to do. We just was trying to just get ourselves prepared, get our documents, put on something dry, and make way for the hills, which is over here.
But when I was awoken up with the noise around 4 in the morning, and I came out, I met an entire puddle of water, and my car was underwater.
On the island today, there were scores of water-damaged cars, and many properties were still underwater. The silver lining, there have been no reported deaths. Some roads remained impassable due to the flooding, and some residents are still stuck in their homes. With the hurricane season in full swing, Davis says he's concerned about the possibility of what's to come.
Storms are more frequent, they are more intense, and they are more devastating. And so we have to be concerned ourselves and keep on our knees, as my grandmother would say.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
All right, thanks a lot, Bethany. And speaking of the weather, it's time for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Ian McKenzie, he's standing by in the Weather Center. Ian?
Thanks, Kendino, and good evening, Bahamas. Welcome to our forecast for this evening. Currently outside our studios, we're under cloudy skies with a temperature of 84 degrees. Our winds are out of the south-southeast at 13 miles per hour with a feels-like temperature of 83. Current temperatures across the country: in Freeport, we have 84, Marsh Harbor 82, Allenstown, Bimini 81, Great Harbor Key 84, Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera 83, 84 in Nicholstown, Andros, and in the capital 84. In the central Bahamas, Camps Bay at 83, another 83 in Georgetown, Arthurstown, as well as Coburn Town, San Salvador, and at 84 in Deadman's Key. In the southeast Bahamas, we have 84 in Tonkintown, Ragged Island, 85 in Colonel Hill, also Delectable Bay, Acklands, 86 in Abrahams Bay, Mayaguana, 87 Providenciales, and 85 Matthewtown in Agua. Taking a first look at our satellite and radar at this time. Active activity across the northwest and central Bahamas as we have this plume of moisture that's been pretty persistent over the last 5 days. This will continue to dump some showers, thunderstorms, some strong to severe at times across the area. However, stick around and extended forecast. You will hear more about how and when this activity will die down.
We are just getting started in our news, but when we come back, the latest on the case of former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried as the U.S. looks to add more charges. The Attorney General explains how the Bahamas is involved. But first, printed customs forms are now history. With the mandatory use of a digital form that took effect today, we'll tell you what you need to know. And find out the new traffic management center that's expected to improve your daily commute in tonight's Work in Progress segment when our news returns.
If new, Heineken Silver was a riveting Viking saga.
Last the 12th, your family tortured my first wife and stole my second favorite goat. Now you want to marry my daughter. Okay.
All the taste, no bitter endings. Smooth, fresh, silver.
The mandatory usage of the Customs Exempt app begins today. This means travelers will no longer have to fill out a printed form when clearing customs. While it is expected to be a quick and easy declaration process, custom officials are advising residents the examination of those forms remains.
We will still be examining to ensure that what is declared is what is in your possession at that particular time. So the examination portion of it is still there. It's just that now you don't have to worry about someone second guessing and giving you the incorrect rate. The system, the rates are there. Everything is straight across the board. You know exactly what is being calculated. You know exactly what it is that you have to pay. So you don't have any human interference as it relates to that.
The Customs Department says all of the necessary forms will be available on the app. Instructional videos can be accessed now on its website. That's bahamascustoms.gov.bs. Again, that's bahamascustoms.gov.bs. And if you're without a smartphone, officials say kiosks will be available.
You could search your duty rates. If you're not sure of a particular item, you can just search for the item and it's there. We also have a very friendly help desk in the app, built into the app. So if there's an item you do not see, you can just go to our help desk, ask for the item, and once it's within a reasonable time within the day, we'll be able to add it for you as quickly as possible to the app.
All right, after 10 years of advocating for coverage, permanent and pensionable magistrates and public attorneys will now have health insurance coverage. They will pay 20% of the premium, and government expected to pick up the other 80% of the tab. Kalina, manager of Group Sales and Administration, Cheryl Martins.
I can say that the plan that's been selected by the government for the Attorney General's office is our Colina's premier plan. It's called a distinctive care plan, and it offers the richest package of benefits that our company provides. Their scope of coverage includes basic life insurance. There's also accidental life and dismemberment, major medical, which is the biggest part of the plan and what persons would be most concerned about, but there's also dental and vision as supplemental benefits.
And we've certainly all seen the common use of crowdfunding campaigns after diagnoses, which points to the financial burden tied to huge medical bills. Martin telling us that in these cases, health insurance could be the one thing standing between you and bankruptcy.
Without coverage and protection, a family or an individual could find themselves being bankrupt, certainly as it relates to healthcare insurance. With the cost of healthcare as it is in our country and abroad as well, there has to be assistance or protection. We're all familiar with persons who've had to have the fundraiser, the stakeout, the cookout to try to assist when there's a significant healthcare issue. So this is going to, I think, add peace of mind and also help to demonstrate the value that the government places on these employees.
All right, last week we told you about smart traffic lights that should make your commute a little easier. Tonight, Joshua Williams explains how a new traffic center will help.
A traffic center is in the works, according to Senior Traffic and Transport Engineer at the Ministry of Works and Utilities, Joy John. The center will help traffic officials diagnose and resolve issues, making your drive smoother.
You can monitor it remotely, not necessary that you should be in the office. You will have phones, tablets, or iPads, wherever you go, and they got a message. Robinson Road and Old Trail is on flash. So immediately I WhatsApp my engineer, said, please check Robinson Road and Old Trail.
Sean says the above-ground system is projected to cost millions, while the center will be rolled out in several phases.
The entire cost until the third phase, it will cost approximately $5 million. Well, the initial phase, we are going to be within this building, and now next phase, we're going to have our separate annex building within the ministry's compound. So where we're going to have a bigger room with screen on the walls where our technicians and engineers will be monitoring.
He says the center will also help police with traffic management.
Collaborate with other entities like police force, traffic division, emergency services, and it also enable us to manage the traffic should there be any event. So we give appropriate timings to whatever event that is happening on the road corridors.
Reporting for Work in Progress for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
When our news comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as the U.S. halts online asylum appointments at a Texas border crossing. Also, caught in the middle, China accused by the United States of spying from Cuba. Plus, the latest in the Sam Bankman-Fried fraud case. The AG says the U.S. Department of Justice needs a waiver from the Bahamas. The details when our news returns. This is our news. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. The Biden administration has stopped taking mobile app appointments to admit asylum seekers at a Texas border crossing. The border in question is said to connect a notoriously dangerous Mexican city after advocates warned U.S. authorities that migrants were being targeted for extortion. U.S. Customs and Border Protection gave no explanation for its decision. Authorities are reporting that thousands of asylum seekers are stuck in Mexican border towns waiting for appointments. A South Florida homeowner got quite the surprise over the weekend in their backyard pool. The plantation resident discovering a roughly 10-foot-long American crocodile. Wildlife experts and trappers were called to capture the reptile. The video showing the trappers moving the crocodile to a new location where it was set free. 4 indigenous children who were missing for more than 5 weeks in Colombia's southern jungle are recovering well, according to family members. The children, aged 1 through 13, were found on Friday after they survived a May 1st plane crash that killed their mother and 2 other adults. The children's father, Manuel Renac, said his eldest daughter told him their mother urged them to get out and save themselves. And finally, China has been operating an intelligence unit in Cuba for years and upgraded it in 2019 as part of a global effort by Beijing to boost its intelligence gathering capabilities. That's according to a senior U.S. White House official. The Wall Street Journal reporting China has reached a secret deal with Cuba to establish an electronic eavesdropping facility on the island just 100 miles from Florida, although the White House casts some doubt on the report. And now to the fraud case involving former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, as Attorney General Ryan Pinder says the U.S. is looking to add more charges to his rap sheet. Bankman-Fried was originally arrested in the Bahamas in mid-December 2022, but was extradited to the U.S. before the end of the year. Pinder explaining today that the U.S. will need a waiver from the Bahamas first in order for those charges to be added, but he says there's no rush.
We are doing a thorough review of the matter. We have not come to any decision on the request of the United States. We have sought expert counsel in this regard, and so we continue to review the advice before making a decision. I want to be clear, the last thing that we want is to make an incorrect decision or a decision that is not thoroughly thought through and expose the Bahamas and the government of the Bahamas to litigation matters in the United States.
Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about June 12th and the 2012 sinking of the Glory Time vessel. And then in our news at 7:30, a babysitter facing multiple sexual abuse charges. Prosecutors say his victim was only 8 at the time of the first incident. Plus, flooded with applications. The passport office overwhelmed after that historic Privy Council ruling on citizenship. Our news is back in a moment. Welcome back to our news. It's time now for your historical recap of the day that was June 12th. Take a look. On this day in Bahamian history in 2012, a day after the Glory Time vessel sank in waters off North Abaco, the search for survivors continued. Then National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage said 10 passengers who remained unaccounted for were fared dead, bringing the death toll in the disaster to 21. A total of 28 people were said to be on board as the vessel was allegedly headed to the United States on a human smuggling mission. Fisherman and diver Jamal Cornish single-handedly retrieved 11 bodies the day before, 6 women, 4 boys, and 1 girl.
It's hard to explain, but I mean, like, I see my little girl, I see my mommy, I see my sister. To see women and children, yeah, it make me think. They show me it's a lot to life. Life simple and precious. You gotta cherish it. The Defense Force vessel, it was too big, so we had to bring them up 2 at a time. We put them in some Bristol boat, and then we took it back to the Defense Force vessel.
Then in 2014, after sleeping in Rawson Square from the night before, a group of protesters from various organizations demanded government enforce the Freedom of Information Act. Those protesters clashed with police.
They came over and they claimed that the music was too loud. They claimed that we were talking too loud on the mic and that we were disturbing Parliament. How can we disturb the people that were elected to serve us? And they demanded that we shut it down. We have a permit. We have a permit for our music, for our mics and everything. How is our demonstration? How are people going to hear us without our mics? You understand? We want to get the message out there. We want people to come and support us, and they can't. And I'm saying we're being muzzled. I'm saying that our democratic rights are being trampled upon.
Then in 2017, then opposition leader Philip Davis said something was off about government's decision to drop an appeal on parliamentary privilege involving environmental group Save the Bays and former cabinet minister Jerome Fitzgerald. Supreme Court Justice Indra Charles previously ruled the Marathon MP infringed on the constitutional right to privacy of Save the Bays members when he read and tabled private emails in Parliament and therefore could not be protected by parliamentary privilege. Fitzgerald subsequently filed an appeal to have the ruling overturned. However, Davis asserting the Court of Appeal should have been allowed to hear the case.
That's a smell good item, Mr. Speaker. And I gave reasons why I think it doesn't smell good. It smells. It smells. It smells. Whatever great respect the member may have for me, right? He ought to have concern about the separation of power and the import of this decision on all of us.
In 2018, as members of the Gaming Operators Association battled government over a proposed sliding scale tax, then Attorney General Carl Bethel asserted that mouths could say anything and that anything could be put on paper. This after attorney Wayne Monroe announced the association had instructed him to proceed with legal action.
They say they're going to sue, we'll see. If they sue, they'll be fought in court.
The government of the Bahamas is sovereign, and it will not be bullied by threats of any legal action.
Then in 2019, Brian Morey QC was officially sworn in as the new Chief Justice during a ceremony at Government House.
We do need major reforms. We do need changes. And we intend to address some of these challenges very directly in the short term. And I don't think it's going to be business as usual.
2021 saw the inaugural home porting of Adventure of the Seas in downtown Nassau. A celebration took place in Pompey Square to mark the historic occasion. And finally, in 2022, the geopolitical impact of China in the region was discussed during the RF Economic Summit.
I don't fault the Chinese one bit. They see so many opportunities to invest here in the Caribbean. We don't see that same level of engagement on the part of the United States and our private institutions or our government in the Caribbean, and for that matter in Latin America more broadly. But we are very much concerned, not only because the Caribbean is so proximate to the United States, but there are very important economic and national security considerations from a completely objective perspective in Washington.
All right, to watch that historical recap again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. It's going to do it for us in News at 7. Joining us now is Italia Hall with the latest headlines. Italia?
Yes, Ken, happy Monday.
Happy
the start
Monday to
of
you,
a
too.
New work week, a wet Monday, but...
I was going to ask, how was your weekend?
So, it was good. It was good. A bit wet, but due to the weather, but it was good.
I actually didn't mind the rain this weekend.
I did a bit, but...
A couple of, power outages, but...
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good, Ken. Well, we're following the shooting of a woman while she was breastfeeding, and the passport office overwhelmed as applications are through the roof. Here are your latest headlines.
The wrong target, first tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. A mother shot by mistake in southern New Providence over the weekend. Residents are reacting. Plus, amid a ruling by the Privy Council, the passport office is inundated with applications. But the Attorney General says there's one area of concern. Also, we have more details from that fatal plane crash in waters off Exuma on Friday as investigators say possible debris from the aircraft may have been found. And later, it's almost Father's Day. Tonight, our Marlena Leonard explores the history of the annual observance. Our News Live at 7:30 is back in a moment.
Welcome to Our News, and thank you for joining us. I'm Italia Hall. Many residents calling yesterday's shooting bizarre as a woman was shot while breastfeeding her baby. Our news team visited the home today where a frustrated family member chastised officers for the incident. Our Joshua Williams reports.
Police saying the bullet intended for an attacking pit bull at a Sunshine Park home yesterday ricocheted off the dog in the yard, striking a mother who was breastfeeding behind a gate nearby. A family member at the home disagrees with the report, saying police handled the incident incorrectly.
We all know the man of their job to do protect and serve, but do it the right way. Do it the right way. You don't have no rights to come and fire no shots shooting in this yard. You had a child in the yard, what gonna happen? What you can say, sorry, or the police when they doing their job? Huh? They is ridiculous. They don't know how to fire these guns. You understand? You go on training for shooting and you still come out, you shooting a human and say you hitting the dog?
He claims that officers allegedly came to this white fence where the weapon was pointed through one of the holes and fired. The family member says both the woman and dog are recovering.
She in the hospital right now. You understand? The dog right now, the dog is okay. I ain't worried about the dog. The human is more important than the animal. They invading in your privacy and they ain't finding nothing and they knocking down doors. They rooting up everything in your house and they going, when you tell them about it, they tell you they ain't got to fix and they ain't doing nothing. You understand? So they need to be accountable for what they do.
These neighbors familiar with the victim also expressed their displeasure.
The children are traumatized. The little boy screamed out when he saw his mother got shot. You understand?
She's not a child.
She has 2 boys, yes. The children scream out when they realize she was shot because it's right in front of them.
I feel for her because I know her. Brought up 2 young children and then to be left there. I mean, they have family relatives and everything to take care of them, but it hurts me to know that she's in hospital now fighting for her life.
Police arrested a man at the home who neighbors allege is the victim's boyfriend. Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
All right, thanks for that, Josh. Well, a man has been accused of sexually abusing a boy whom he babysat. 26-year-old Basil McDonald faced 3 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor of the same sex when he appeared before Assistant Chief Magistrate Sugaswala Swain. Prosecutors allege that he molested the alleged victim in 2019 and 2020 when he was 8 and 9 years old. McDonald was not required to enter pleas to the charges. Bail was denied and he returns to court on August 30th. A shocking find at a beach in Eleuthera over the weekend, now under investigation after a man was found dead on Pink Sand Beach. A jogger found the man's partially submerged body in the sand around 6:25 Sunday morning. Police say the victim was wearing blue and purple swim trunks and had no visible signs of injury. An autopsy is scheduled. Well, new information tonight on that plane crash off Exuma that happened on Friday. Investigators reporting possible debris around about 30 nautical miles northwest of Devil's Point, Exuma. According to the Aircraft Accidents Investigation Authority, a seat, flotation devices, and an air cylinder has been recovered. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force has been involved in the search and rescue efforts since Friday, when the plane was first reported missing. Initial reports indicating that shortly before 9 a.m. Friday, the plane piloted by a 66-year-old American departed from the Palm Beach Airport en route to Stella Maris, Long Island, when he reportedly encountered bad weather and subsequently lost contact with air traffic control. A Defense Force aircraft is expected to assist with aerial search once weather conditions permit. Applications are flooding into the passport office. This as the Privy Council ruled anyone born out of wedlock in the Bahamas to a Bahamian father and foreign mother should have the right to a Bahamian passport at birth. Attorney General Ryan Pinder says a major concern is proof of paternity in cases where no father is listed on the birth certificate.
We're looking at a framework for DNA evidence to demonstrate in those situations where the father is not on the birth certificate and the child is born in the Bahamas out of wedlock. How do you prove the father? And so we're looking at DNA evidence to support that. So the rules have been drafted. They're at the Chief Passport Officer for review. They're with the Minister of Immigration for review and comment. And then we will certainly have a public consultation and explain the scope of what we are looking to do.
Now this summer, there will be major movements on two highly anticipated bills. The Attorney General telling reporters public consultation on marijuana legislation may occur as soon as the summer. He also insists the gender violence bill may be debated before summer recess.
So the compendium has been thoroughly reviewed by the Ministry of Health, has been taken to Cabinet, and in short order we'll be launching the framework for public consultations that will occur over the summer months. The Ministry of Social Services is undertaking consultations on that. That has been tabled in Parliament, as you would know, for public review and public consultation. I think there are specific consultation exercises being undertaken by the Minister of Social Services. He still has an intent on debating that before the summer recess, from what I understand.
All right, lots of rain in the nation's capital today, and even more rain is expected this week. Forecaster Ian McKenzie is in studio with a first look at weather. Ian?
Thanks, Natalia, and good evening, Bahamas. Currently outside our studios, we're under cloudy skies, a temperature of 84 degrees. Our winds are out of the south-southeast at 13 miles per hour, with a feels-like temperature of 80. Taking a look at our satellite and radar at this time, we still have this persistent plume of moisture being supported by a mid to upper level trough, and this activity will persist with us through tomorrow. However, to tonight, you can have to deal with some showers and thunderstorm activity and some tapering off into tomorrow. Stick around for extended forecasts. More is still to come.
Still to come on our news, strong weather conditions on Exuma over the weekend impacting school operations. The education minister speaks. Plus, why an Atlantis executive isn't budging over opposition to a new Wendy's restaurant opening on Paradise Island. And later, Father's Day is celebrated worldwide to recognize their contributions. But have you ever wondered how the day came about? Our Marlena Leonard has to answer when our news returns.
At Doctors Hospital, our lamp just got brighter. The Loyalty Advantage membership program now has 3 unique plans to choose from. From Lamp Prepaid with free prime care visits and service line discounts, Lamp Insured with copay waivers and 0 upfront collections at the ER and inpatient services, or our new Lamp Access, a free plan that offers 10% off labs, pharmacy, and imaging. Lamp has a plan for everyone. To sign up, visit our website or give us a call. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now.
Exuma schools remaining closed today as heavy rainfall blocked up roadways, making it hard for administrators, teachers, and students to get to school. Education Minister Gladys Hannah Martin confirming as much. While she says schools haven't been damaged, some teachers weren't so lucky.
I've brought with me our chief individual for the physical plan, who ensures throughout the nation, that schools, accommodations for teachers are intact. So we're making an assessment now, and where there are issues, making our notes to respond quickly and appropriately.
Now, the education minister advises that all national exams were completed, but there are still some end-of-term examinations to be administered. To accommodate this, she says the ministry is making adjustments. Given the realities of the climate change, Hannah Martin says it's now time to adjust.
We are living in this reality, and we have to see how as we move forward in development, in planning, that we now work within this new reality that we are seeing firsthand. And full force, we have to shift the way we see how we move forward in our development.
The idea of Wendy's moving to Paradise Island isn't sitting well with some businesses. Recently, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs and Special Projects at Atlantis, Vaughn Roberts, confirming the hotel is against the opening of the internationally known chain restaurant. Now, despite widespread debate and an interview with Our News, the resort executive maintains his position on the matter.
The matter is in sort of an appeal process at this time, but we certainly asked the question, right? I mean, it's and I think others on Paradise Island have asked the same question, and we're in the process of trying to see what the appeal board rules.
So Paradise Island Promotion Board CEO Joy Jubilee was also asked for her take on the situation. Here was her response.
That is something that the Nassau Paradise Island Promotion Board, we aren't going to comment on, and in the context that we have a very specific mandate. And that mandate is to market and promote our member property hotels. So anybody who's a member, Nassau Paradise Island Promotion Board. In addition, we promote and we market our destination. So whoever is at that table, no matter where they are, if they fall within Nassau Paradise Island Promotion Board, it's our role to showcase them in the best possible way.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When Our News comes back from the break, Father's Day is just a few days away. But did you know the first observance dates all the way back to the early 1900s? Our Marlena Leonard explores the history behind the big day.
Jonquil Jones and the Liberty picked up a pair of wins over the weekend. Terrence Jones ran a personal best in the NCAA championships, and the regatta in the Abaco's committee received the big assist from Mount Gay Rum. Stay right there. Our Sports is coming up.
A Bahamian tea party with a golden jubilee twist.
Party is a wonderful way to bring women together, especially because we know more women usually come to tea parties. And this is in keeping in commemoration of our 50th independence.
We have all the details when Our News returns.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
This is Our News. Welcome back. Jonquil Jones and the New York Liberty win 2 straight over the weekend, and Terrence Jones helps Texas Tech secure a top 10 finish in the College National Tournament. Here's Tej Adderley with a check on sports. Tej?
Thanks, Natalia. Jonquil Jones and the Liberty had a record-setting weekend, winning 2 straight against the Atlanta Dream and the Dallas Wings, respectively. Jonquel Jones and the New York Liberty won 2 straight over the weekend. This is the first time in the team's 25-year history that they scored over 100 in back-to-back games. On Friday, they beat the Atlanta Dream 106-83. Jonquel had 11 points and 8 rebounds in that one. On Sunday, they beat the Dallas Wings 102-93. JJ had 8 and 8 in that game on a season-high 27 minutes. She's slowly working her way back from a foot fracture suffered in last year's finals, but her increase in minutes is encouraging. Look for her to come on strong as the season progresses. Terrence Jones and his Texas Tech track and field squad had a big weekend at the NCAA National Championships, finishing top 10 in the nation. From Bahamas, Terrence Jones helped Texas Tech secure a top 10 finish in the NCAA National Track and Field Championships with a total team score of 34.5 points. The team could have finished higher, but Jones and the 4x100-meter team were disqualified after setting a meet and program record in the event. Jones did manage to come in third in the 200 meters behind teammate Caleb Lindsay. That relay disqualification probably wasn't the end they envisioned to their season, but it was a great meet all around. Congratulations to Jones and Texas Tech. Moving on to the national sport, Mount Gay Rum stepped up in a big way to support the Abaco Regatta. Mount Gay Rum and Sandsbury have come on as sponsors to the regatta in the Abaco's committee. The announcement was made during a presentation at Jimmy's Wines and Spirits in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. Presenting on behalf of Mount Gay were Philippa Ferguson, Angela Moss, and Jimmy's manager Jerry Summers. Receiving a check on behalf of the Abaco Regatta were Secretary Laura Aubrey and Commodore Dwayne Wallace. John Pinder, MP for South and Central Abaco and Parliamentary Secretary for the Ministry of Tourism, was also on hand with tourism officials Kendi Ferguson and Winston Ferguson. The regattas in the Abacos are scheduled for June 23rd to July 2nd. If you're a sailing fan, you definitely don't want to miss that. That'll do it for sports today. I'm Tage Adderley.
Still ahead on our news tonight, have you ever wondered how Father's Day started? Our Marlena Leonard tells us the annual observance dates all the way back to the 1900s. And a wet start to the work week. Ian is back with your weekly weather planner and the extended weather forecast when our news returns. Welcome back to our news. It was an afternoon of high tea in the grandest of Bahamian style as the Independence Secretariat hosted a Golden Jubilee Tea Party at Bahamas under the patronage of Anne-Marie Davis, wife of the Prime Minister. Hundreds of proud Bahamian women attending the beautiful celebration organized by Chairperson of the Independence Secretariat, Leslie Miller Bryce, and her team. They share why they came to show their Bahamian pride.
It was important for me to bring my daughter to this event because I'm trying to instill Bahamian pride in her, and I know that there's going to be so many powerful Bahamian women through all walks of life who I just want to introduce her to and, start to acclimate her to being involved with things with their country.
I'm not going to be during the actual Independence Day celebration, so I wanted to come and support at least one function that the country was putting on.
Tea Party is a wonderful way to bring women together, especially because we know more women usually come to tea parties. And this is in keeping in commemoration of our 50th independence.
The country is set to celebrate 50 years as an independent nation, and these women share their hopes for the country going forward.
I'd just like to see a lot more improvement. I've got a 6-year-old, so I know the country still has a lot more growth and growing to go. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what's next, what's the young people in the Bahamas are going to offer to the next generation.
In the next 50 years, I am looking forward to younger people continuing to walk in their purpose and their path. For those who are abroad studying, to return home and really invest their skills and their talents in this country. But an important aspect of that as well is that we lay the foundation and we create a space for them to come so that we could remain progressive.
It's my true prayer and hope that economic freedom comes to the people of the country and those who are dispossessed and without, especially within the inner city, that we will continue to educate, to elevate and motivate and inspire them, and that our leaders will have a heart and a passion to truly see progression for all of our people.
All right, looks like a great event. Well, more wet weather anticipated this week. Forecaster Ian McKenzie is back in the Weather Center with your extended weather forecast. Ian?
Thanks again, Natalia. Thank you guys for sticking around. Here's a look at our extended forecast. In the satellite loop, we still have this persistent plume of moisture that's been plaguing our area, being supported by a mid to upper level trough that's been persistent pretty much in the eastern Gulf. This will continue to push some moisture across our area and should begin to taper off sometime Tuesday into early Wednesday. So we want to welcome that clearing. Boating forecast in the northwest Bahamas. We have a small craft caution out there. Also, rip currents for you swimmers. Winds will be out of the south-southwest at 15 to 20 knots tonight, tapering off a bit to 10 to 15 knots tomorrow. Sea is 4 to 6, subsiding down to 2 to 4 feet on tomorrow. And we'll have a low tide tonight at 10:37 p.m. Boating in the central and southeast Bahamas, we have a caution out in the southeast Bahamas. Rip currents as well. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 in the central islands, 15 to 20 knots in the southeast Bahamas. The seas will be 2 to 4 feet in the central Bahamas and bumping up a bit to 4 to 6 in the southeast Bahamas. Here's a look at your national forecast. And in your extended forecast, as I said earlier, rain through tomorrow. The sun will come out on Wednesday. Thursday again, 1 or 2 showers may pop around, but look at Father's Day weekend, Friday through Monday. Beautiful conditions expected. Go outside, enjoy the weekend, and spend some time with your father. Make it a great evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
All right, Ian, sounds great. Well, in just a few days, dads across the world will be celebrated. Father's Day is a decades-old tradition, and tonight our Marlena Leonard takes a look at how it was brought to life by a daughter who wanted to celebrate her father, who fought in the Civil War. Here's that report.
The Father's Day we know today is all thanks to Sonara Smart Dodd, an American who heard a sermon about Mother's Day in 1909 and told her pastor that fathers should also have a day to be honored. Dodd's father, William Jackson Smart, was a Civil War veteran who raised 6 children as a single parent after his wife died. His daughter initially suggested his birthday, June 5th, as Father's Day, but pastors said they would need more time to write their sermons. So it was decided the celebration would be held the 3rd Sunday in June. Dodd hosted the first Father's Day celebration in the Spokane YMCA on June 19, 1910. But it was slow to take off. For years, many called the day an attempt to copy the commercial success of Mother's Day. Even U.S. Congress resisted making it official in 1916, and it wouldn't become a permanent national holiday until Richard Nixon signed it into law in 1972. By the 1980s, the Fathers Council claimed the celebration had become a second Christmas for all the men's gift-oriented industries in the United States. Here in the Bahamas, we have our own traditions, like Father's Day meals made up of stuffed crab and other seafood delicacies. We'll have more on some of those Father's Day cooking traditions in a report coming this week. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
All right, thanks, Marlena. And of course, to see that story again, you can visit ournews.bs. And with that, we thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.